Good afternoon, everybody. This is Don again. It is a Sunday afternoon. Let's see, it's about 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm actually sitting in my car today. Whew. I try to sit in the park, even in the shade. It's hot and the flies are everywhere, nibbling at my legs as I try to make the video, so I figured that was not going to work too well. I could have gone to the beach today. I don't know, I just didn't feel that motivated to get up and drive. So I just hanging out today, and I wanted to make this video. And today's topic is going to be something that I wouldn't necessarily consider very spiritual, but I think it's a very necessary discussion if you're on a spiritual journey. And that would be how the spirit of anger and hatred have gotten so normalized in society. And I just don't understand it, and I'm sure there are people out there who have experienced the same thing and see it on a daily basis, and maybe they don't understand it either. And I know there's other people out there who, you know, obviously if it exists, there are some people who support it and who perpetuate it, and that's really a shame, because I think that takes you so far away from the human being that you were raised to be. And I know I can try to appeal to those kind of people, but that appeal may fall on deaf ears. They're addicted to their anger and their hatred, and they feel it's a part of them, and they feel very free to express it. And that's actually the first point that I want to address in this video. So the question then is, why have hatred and anger become so normal? Why is it so easy? Why do people feel so free to express such hatred and anger on a regular basis? I've seen so many examples of it, and one particularly egregious example that I saw recently. There was an incident recently, last week or maybe 10 days ago, where someone drove a car or a truck, you know, an SUV, into a crowd of people who are protesting ICE. And this is not a political video, okay? I don't venture into political waters. But, you know, those people are out there protesting as they are allowed to do. And someone drove a car into that crowd and hurt some people. I don't think anybody was killed, thank God. But someone drove a car into the crowd of people and ran some of them over. And I saw the post on Facebook, and there was a gentleman there who said, and I think it was a woman who drove the truck, and a gentleman there said she should have used a snowplow. Now, come on. It just struck me to the core. How can you wish such negative consequences on another human being? Why? What drives you to do that? Think about this for a second. We are born with pure souls, we come out of that womb expecting love and receiving, hopefully, love from our mother and our father to bring us into this world, to help us adjust and survive and nurture us and become people who contribute something positive to society. So somewhere along the line, now whether it's at the home environment, whether it's at school, whether it's at work, whatever, somewhere along the line, people pick up this vibe of anger and hatred, and maybe experience has been cruel to them. I sympathize with that, but of course anyone who listens to my channel knows that I have had my own tragedies and gone through some terrible experiences, but I have never let hatred conquer my heart in that fashion, where I would actually wish that more people died in an incident than actually did. That's like saying, you know, for the recent floods in Texas, look at it from that point of view. I don't think anybody is out there saying that more people should have died in Texas because of the floods. No. And how is that different? And I know someone's going to try to make a point to me that it is different. Oh, these ICE protesters, they're evil people, and, you know, they should be, all of them should be removed from the country, and they contribute nothing, and blah, blah, blah. You want to make all those points, that's fine. Those people are human beings. The people in Texas are human beings. They are no different. They have souls, they have hearts, they have minds, They are trying to contribute. They are trying to live their lives. On all of those bases, they are exactly the same. And yet someone feels enough hatred in their heart to drive a truck through a crowd to hurt people. And then at the same time, express sympathy for those who die in floods someplace else. That's a natural disaster, which they call a once every 500-year natural disaster, which is happening often now. So where's the logic? Where's the difference? How can you possibly say that more people should have died or gotten hurt somewhere, and then turn around and say that you have sympathy for the people who got flooded out in Texas? They are, maybe some of them are not naturalized Americans. I don't care what basis you want to make for your justification. Those are people. You do not have the right to wish bad upon people. How far have you fallen from being a human being if you actually want to see people get hurt? And this is, of course, those two are just one or two of a multitude of incidents that have happened just in the United States in the past, say, 25 years. Everybody remembers. Everybody can call to mind the school shootings. That's one person with such hatred in their heart who has fallen so far away from being the human being that they should be. And how does that happen? Now, social media can be blamed. I don't know. I can't get into the mind. This is why I'm sort of like hesitating as I do this. I can't get into the mind of someone whose hatred has consumed them to such a degree that they can freely talk about that more people should have gotten hurt or killed. I saw another thing on somewhere on YouTube, on some YouTube channel. There was a commentator on Fox News protesting or making a comment on some woman who is of Indian heritage, making some statement. And the commentator said, "We didn't kill enough Indians." My God, think about it. That's history of the United States. You may want to get angry at me for saying this, but the way that the United States treated, over a long period of time, treated the Native Americans who were in this land well before any of the current settlers of the United States came, and how we treated them and pushed them off their land and things like that, and used, government ink to drive people and murder people. And, this is not a new phenomenon. Hatred has always been there in the human heart. So how does it conquer you? And I just don't know. And any person who is on a spiritual journey, any person who has a single ounce of self-respect would never express that sentiment. So that's a common characteristic. You can say almost with 100% certainty that anyone who expresses that kind of anger or hatred for another, for any group of people whatsoever, has completely lost any sense of self-respect whatsoever. So that's, as we say in our spiritual journey, all answers lie within. That's the positive aspect of the spiritual journey. But for these people, the people who have been so consumed by their hatred, the answer for that lies within too. You have to, the only thing I can conclude is that they have such hatred for themselves that they have to lash out at others to make others feel as badly as they do. And that's a real shame. That's a real shame. Why does that have to happen like that? And there's safety in numbers. You know that they have friends that they've spoken with who have expressed the same sort of disgusting anger and hatred. and they feel free and safe to say it and express it and go out on social media. Once it gets out there on social media, the whole world can see it if they want, if it happens to be that way. Maybe only a few hundred people see it, but isn't that enough? Don't you have any shame whatsoever for going out there and putting something so terribly angry and full of hate out there to let the whole world know that this is how you feel about yourself? Do you even realize that putting that kind of thing out there, talking about how much you hate people and the anger that you have towards them, do you even realize how that reflects your own lack of self-respect? If you were confronted on it, what would you say? You would probably defend yourself and say, oh, that's not true. You'd get angry at me. You'd be lashing out at me and attacking me. This is the favorite weapon of those who don't have the courage to face up to themselves, to lash out and attack others. That's weakness. That's weakness. When you have given in to your anger and your hatred, you have given in to your weakness. And I've said this before in other videos, being a jerk, I could use a dozen different expletives here, is easy. That is easy. Being kind and courteous and respectful of others is harder. And it's not that hard. It's actually very simple. But it takes work. It takes awareness. It takes compassion. It takes self-respect. And that is just something, and I hope everyone can hear the feeling, the passion which I'm trying to speak with here, because it's so disheartening. It's so disgusting to see someone out there saying that these terrible kind of things about people, about others. And it's not, this happens every single day. So why did it happen? You can, like I said before, you can blame social media. The rise of the internet gave people the anonymity that they needed to step out of their shell, their anonymous existence. So nobody. That's what I'm trying to say is nobody can hold them accountable. They don't feel any responsibility for what they say, because nobody holds them accountable for it. And that's a terrible thing. And that's even further proof that they have really just given in to the urge, their basest urge, to be hateful and to be angry. And it's so easy to do. And that just shows how little awareness that they have and how easily they are converted, you might say, or just like changed into something far, far away from the human being they were meant to be. How much good they could do if only they would realize how far away from being a true human being they've gotten. That's like a subspecies. You cannot think of yourself as a fully realized human being when you have such an attitude of hatred and egregious anger in your heart. You're lost when you feel that way. Don't let yourself give in. I know I've had trouble with anger in my life, but I've had the awareness. I have the awareness now. And I know, and I feel terrible now when I get angry at my wife or anybody else. I feel terrible. It lasts short amount of time. The outbursts of anger are shorter, and the period of regret is longer, and the refraction, the healing time is now shorter. It's a whole cycle that all of it has gotten shorter. I used to spend hours and days in a state of anger, so I know where it comes from. Okay, so I can be thought of as like a subject matter expert on this. Okay, I know where the anger comes from. But does that help me? Yes, that helps me. It helps me to be aware and recognize when I'm slipping into that pattern again, And there are so many people out there who are unconscious. I know I've enumerated several different definitions of consciousness in these videos. And another definition of unconsciousness is the complete lack of awareness of your own mental state and the state of anger and hatred that you allow yourself to exist in. It's funny, you can think of it this way. Do you think that that person or anybody who goes out and expresses anger in such a free manner without any accountability whatsoever, do you think they actually go home at night and that all of that is gone? You know what I mean? They were just angry for 2 seconds? No. If you have the gall to go out and put that kind of anger out there on social media, you have a conviction about that. That's your state of being. That's your state of mind. That is your 24/7 existence. And yes, of course, there are moments when you feel happy and you're laughing and maybe you're with friends drinking beer, having hamburgers at a picnic table, this kind of thing like I'm seeing over here in the park. And yeah, so for a few minutes then you forget about your anger. But then, as I said in the last video, what triggers you? Then they see something that triggers them, and bam, they're back into their default mind state of that anger and hatred that defines them. And that's really, really a shame. They actually let their hate and their anger define who they are. And do you, as a thinking, spiritual, loving, kind, compassionate person, yes, anger is a natural human state, emotion. But are you going to let that define you? If you have any sense of consciousness whatsoever, you don't let that define you. You recognize it, you rehearse your reaction. Once you get to be in an advanced state, you rehearse the reaction you have when you feel that anger. You rehearse it in advance so that you can recognize it and retract and recover from that anger as quickly as possible and return to a higher state of vibration where you then radiate positive energy and love out into the universe that gets reflected back to you and gives you a fuller, happier life. That is the purpose of existence, life, consciousness. Being able to recognize your own imperfections is the definition of humility, and humility is the elimination of your ego that keeps you stuck in that pattern of hatred and anger that will define you if you let it. So I hope everyone understands how important it is to remain conscious, to be able to say, okay, I am not going to let that negativity be the state of mind in which I proceed through my day. You are going to be a kinder, happier person, and you're going to let that vibration show through in the things that you do. And there are other states of mind that I could talk about, but they are all sort of like the same result. They are all categorized the same. You are simply not being the person that you can be. If you are not radiating that love and that kindness and that compassion out towards others and working on eliminating the ego and the status quo, then you are not realizing your own potential and what you could be. And that, my friends, is the best thing that you can do, and rehearse that every single day so you do not end up posting like I've seen these people do, raging about things that are not really harming them at all. And that's the worst part of it. They're raging about things that they have not been part of, that have not harmed them at all, and yet they feel so free to express their anger about it. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel powerful to do so. And that is just wrong. That is just so far away from what a human being should be like. And I hope everyone, if you feel yourself getting into that state of rage, that you have the consciousness and the awareness to step away and create the space in your mind to deal with it and recover from it and cycle it out of you quickly. I love everyone. I am happy. I am joyful. I am radiant. And I do not allow hatred to reside in my heart. Thank you all. Have a great day.